Well, hello there, Jan. Welcome in. Well, 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 well. How much Toast of London have you watched? Hi, Omizu. Too slow? Damn! Hi, Sashi. 2 episodes. Watch more. Ugh, I feel terrible. True, Dia. True. Hi, Dia. Hi, Shasta. We all ready to learn how to mix colors? Yes! I love that scene. Ugh. Let's we're gonna wait a few minutes for people. Or else. Or else. So bring everybody, you know, open up a YouTube tab. You know. We all know the drill. Do we? Jan, you've been here for one of these before, right? Yes! Yes! The fuck Stiggy and Blue? You'll find out how easy this is, Mr. Pigments. And then you'll rue the day you have so many pigments. Probably already know. How easy this all is. Thank you, Shasta. Shasta, I'll figure out how to mod people in YouTube, by the way. I don't. I've never heard of that. I haven't heard that term Stygian? 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 We know you do, Jan. You're gonna rue this day that you watch this stream. You're gonna rue it. That was the first person we had to ban from YouTube, though, Shasta. I mean, I figured one of them was gonna come around eventually, though, right? But I gotta figure out how to mod people there. And I am not feeling great. So we're only going to start off with 5 colors. We're only going to start off with 5 colors, everybody. Now remember, this context is mixing with regards to realism, and these 5 colors will allow you to match probably in the range of 98% of the colors you see in realism. Possibly. Alright, everybody. So there are definitely some gaps. There are definitively some gaps. However, do not despair. Do not despair. This palette cannot mix magenta. The weakest part of this palette are purples, then greens. Yep, that is true, Shasta. So we're gonna have to. That's the weak part of this palette, but that's why I say realism. You don't see a lot of, especially if you're painting from life. You almost never see vibrant purples or green. Ooh. I feel like I have like early respiratory infection or something. All right. Shall we begin? Let's get the paint. Ew. Hi, Lego Craftsman. All right, this is titanium white. Now, I was also going to add some impasto medium to a few of these because they are so strong. Sounds good, Sashi. Have fun with your errands. Well, don't touch. This is my can, you son of a bitch. I have plenty. You named 1 pigment. Oh, you may name 2, I'm sorry. Because you're picking the ones that are obviously the gaps. You son of a bitch. How often does a magenta occur naturally? You'll rue this day, Mr. Pigments. You'll rue this day. He's the one who started it, Dia. Hi, Martin. Martin. I roll red. Not in that saturation, though, Mr. Pigments. Ooh. Not bad, Shasta. But nonetheless, this is magenta is a weak spot of this palette. A tremendous, like, purples, bluish reds are a weak spot of this palette. But if you're working from life, this will hit a vast majority of colors. Don't know what you mean by that, actually. You and your fancy jargon.
Prank him, John.
Done been pranked. Hi, Pickles. All right, our 5 colors are Pardon me. Titanium white. This is bismuth vanadate yellow lemon, but cadmium lemon yellow would work too. This is pyrrole red. Cadmium red would work well. Work the same as well. Ultramarine blue and burnt umber. Okay, my burnt umber is on the red side. You'll have some variations. Most burnt umbers from companies, maybe not even most. I would say a majority of burnt umbers from a company will work in this palette just fine. The only one that I know of that wouldn't work great is the Williamsburg burnt umber, but they choose a very desaturated one, so it won't work as effectively. Happy birthday, Pickles. We're not going through the whole one, Jamboree, but... So, how do we mix the color, everybody? We'll do a demonstration, okay? Jamboree. Give me a number, give me a number 1 through 7. Jamboree, give me a number 1 through 7. 6? Okay. And then we'll go here. Oh, not that one. There. Okay. So 6. Is this your card? Oh, it's gonna be killed. Oh, it's been wrecked a long time, DM. It was a $12. I bought it. $12. All right. I've already gone through like 50 of these. 7133. Hi, Ollie Black. Okay, so if I'm mixing a color with this palette, yeah, the same argument they use for not mixing magenta, they can't mix this red either. Oh my gosh, they're so intelligent, Pickles. They really figured it out. Those fuckers. Okay, so first off, we make a general assumption. What color is this? Is this a red, using only terms of the 6? Red, orange, yellow, blue, green, purple. Okay. Which one of these 6 is most closely aligned with? I think you say red. I think this aligns with orange most. But it's not very here, hold on, maybe. Is that better view? You're nut. First I thought you were crazy, but now I can see your nuts. Oh, thank you. Ooh, nice job, Jamboree. I think this is orange. Hi, Mono. I think this is orange. So, I'm just going to show you how I would do it, okay? Alright, I think this is orange, okay? Well, I do have an orange on my palette, everybody. I do have an orange on my palette, and that's burnt umber. So I'm just going to start off with burnt umber. Okay. All right. And then I says to myself, hey, that burnt umber looks a little bit dark to me. Okay. I need to lighten this up to try and get to the same value as this. So I says to myself, what two colors do I use to make things brighter? I use yellow or white. So in this case, because my burnt umber seems more saturated as well as being darker, I'm just going to use white, titanium white, which mixes like a bluish purple. Okay. We're going to take some titanium white and we're going to mix it together. We're going to add titanium white until we have enough to brighten it up enough. And we get it to the same value. Oh, fuck you.
Fucker.
You're a fucker. And more titanium white. Till we get to the same value.
Aww. Fucker.
Fucker. Okay. And uh-oh, I made it a little bit too bright. I made it a little too bright. I made this a little too... And I says to myself, what color should I add to make it darker? Well, I have two on this palette. I have burnt umber and ultramarine blue that I could add to make this darker. How dare you forget about me? So I says to myself, which one should I add? Blue or brown, or burnt umber or ultramarine blue? How much? Well, my looks more yellow. Looks more yellow than this. So, to make it less yellow, I need to add purple. Right? Or I could just make it darker as well. But what I'm going to do is add blue, because we need to add purple. So we're going to add some blue to this. I probably added too much. We'll just try and see. Okay. Now we have a pretty similar value. But the color is still a little off. Right? So now I say, well, this one seems more red. Maybe this one seems a little bit too blue, actually. It's probably too blue at this point. So what would we add to make something less blue? Maddie, what would we add to make something less blue? Exactly. Good. We need to add orange. We need to add orange. So we're going to add some red. And we're going to add some yellow. A lot of yellow in this. And we're just going to iterate back and forth until we get there using our complementaries. I added too much yellow. We need to add purple. Values are still pretty similar. So to add purple, we're going to add more red. We're going to add blue. I added too much blue again, I think. Looks still too yellow or too orange. I'd say too orange. We're gonna add more blue. Uh-oh, we've gotten too dark. So we're gonna add white to lighten it up. Yeah, I think I do need to here because it's like so if we're trying to match a color exactly, we're just gonna go back and forth. You add the, if it looks too much like one color, then you add the complementary of that color, and that's it. And then you lower and brighten the value as needed. All right. So now I'd say it's a little too yellow still. We're just gonna add, or this one seems more purple, right? But we're gonna try and go lesser on the blue. We need even a little bit more. I would say just a smidge more, right? Don't need a lot of either. But that red is strong. And we could teach ourselves shortcuts too. Yeah, I added too much red.
Fucker!
You're a fucker! See, now we seem too red. True. So if it's too red, we add green. Keep on going back and forth if you want to hit it exactly, right? So like we can see if we wanted to see a closer view. Still pretty... Yeah, that color shift is really off. It's not that... My filter is off here. This is the difference of two cameras, everybody. Difference of two. No, you're a fucker? That could work. Metameric. No, these are just two different cameras, Mr. Pigments. These are just two different cameras. Oh, it's a bad joke. But and continue. Do red. Add green. That's a lot of yellow. Now, desaturated colors are the hardest to hit, mind you. Now it's too green. Even though you can hit them, you could definitely hit them. Hard to see. Okay, we're too dark. That's true. Oh, these are important colors, Shasta. These are important colors. God damn it. Having problems controlling all this. There's a lot of shadows going on here. I was trying to figure out what it was a good way to light my setup in this context. We'll see. This one is tough to get. It's still too yellow. It's a very, very, like, going back and forth on this one. True. Great demonstration on the first one, huh? Very impressive. And we're dealing with camera issues. Still a little too red. We need like the smallest amount. Green. Maybe if we do. You're Thank you, Jamboree. Thank you. We're pretty close, though. Part of this issue is I think I don't have enough paint to out here. But I think we're pretty close. Like,
nice.
Guess not. Or is that because this is wet? Oh. Where's my lighting that shitty? My lighting's really bad, isn't it? Hold on. Well, TDS, there's just a lot going on. Let's do a new one. We got pretty close. I'm gonna start. All right, Jan, pick a number 1 through 6. Jan, pick a number 1 through 7. 1 through 7. 1 through 7. 1 through 7. Jan, Willow. Give me oh, Mike Rochburns, welcome in. Give me a number 1 through 7, Willow. You're welcome, Crotchburns. Now, orange plus blue equals gray, TD. 7? Okay. Alright, that was right. Doesn't have a 7. Of course. There we go. Good. So orange and blue are complementary, TDS. That doesn't mean they go to brown. It's such a good handle. So 7. All right, Willow. What does this color look like to you? What does this color look like to you? What if you had to pick one of the 6 colors? Only use blue, green, yellow, white, red, or not white. Blue, green, purple, red, yellow, orange. It can, but if they're complementaries, they don't. So saying like that it's too general. It's not like appropriate to say it like that, Mr. Pigments. Sand, yellow. Okay, so you say yellow. Okay, so we'll start with yellow. All right, there's yellow. Okay. All right, so now I says to myself, well, this seems darker than this, and I need to darken it with either my blue or my brown, or my blue and my dark orange. All right. This seems like a hold on, that's just too bright here, color shifted here. I want you guys to see somewhat accurately. 1 second. Green bag is the worst. Let me get a filter on this, see if I can get closer. Jesus. On the contrast a little bit. Or is it shift? That's more accurate. What does contrast do to this? Yeah. It looks somewhere closer to this. Okay. Hi, Claire Jones. Okay, so we need to darken this, right? So I says to myself, well, this seems more red, so we probably want to darken this with our warmer brown than the blue. So we're going to take a little bit of brown, okay, or burnt umber, all right, which is a reddish brown, and we're going to just mix these two together indiscriminately, okay? Okay. Hi, laughing girl. So now, we'll say, well, this is definitely too dark. Now, fuck you! Alright, we're too dark, and we seem too, it's too orange. So we're not going to add more yellow. We're just going to use white. Because white, titanium white mixes like a purple. Like a bluish purple. Okay, so we're just gonna mix this in here. All right, go back and forth. We'll see what we have. You know, we'll see what we end up with. Okay, values seem pretty close. Values seem pretty close. This is not wasting paint. This is teaching. This is teaching. All right. Now this one seems more orange now. Well, not even orange. I would say this one seems still too dark, actually. Still too dark. And not yellow enough. So we're going to add just yellow. Actually, we're going to add yellow and some white. We're going to add yellow and some white. Lighten this up again. Titanium white mixes like a bluish purple. I could demonstrate this for you too, TDS. So we're going to add this, mix it in, and see what we get. There's a practical demonstration I can show you on why titanium white mixes like a blue purple. You don't have to believe me. We still seem too dark, don't we? But now we seem too yellow again. So we're going to add more white, which will help reduce the yellow slightly because it mixes like a bluish purple. But now we are similar value, but we're not red enough. Yeah, we'll do it right after this. We'll do it right after this, okay? So now I'm going to add a little bit more red. Red will change the value slightly, and we'll readjust our value as needed, but we definitely need more red. That much red. All right, now we're darker again, and we're definitely red. We need a little bit more yellow, and we need a little bit more white. We need to do that again. Because the yellow and the white somewhat cancel each other out, since titanium white mixes I wonder if this is angle thing, or we just still need to keep on going. Still too red. Still too red. We're just going to do the same thing again. We're pretty close there. Fucking shadows, I'm sorry. I'm trying to do this without shadows, everybody. Shadows fucking suck. Sorry. Sorry. Hold on. We're pretty close. Close enough where I don't want to bother doing this anymore. Right? So there's just the back and forth. There's no such thing as like a muddy color. Okay? You can salvage most colors unless you're going pure like titanium white or pure yellow. Like if you're going full saturation, then yes, then you can muddy those up. But let's do a demonstration on how do we know. Well, it can do that because well, there's tinting strength. There's other things at play there, right? But let me show you how do I know titanium white is very cold and mixes like a blue like a blue purple. All right, so we're gonna bring out another color for this. I'll bring out the other color too. But we're gonna do a dual demonstration here. How do we know? How do we judge our colors because it can be hard to see, okay?
I have been lifting weights and doing cocaine all day!
Jesus Christ, yeah. You need to get that under control. All right. So, we're going to test the whites out first, okay? So, this is lead white. This is lead white. Lead carbonate, okay? This is lead white. We're just going to put some out over here. Hopefully I won't need more than this. All right. Now, we'll put out some titanium white here. Okay. And we'll put out some lead white next to it. Okay. Well, I says to myself, is those look pretty similar. I'm like, Badly, you're an asshole. You don't know what you're talking about. These are obviously the same pigment, and they work the same. And I'll say, oh, you ignorant slut. Okay? They are completely different. Not only with properties, titanium white being very opaque, lead white being semi-transparent. But lead white mixes like an orange. This mixes like a blue-purple. Okay. How do I know that? Well, let's take some red. Take some red. Try and not get yellow in there either.
Dragon likes to be called that.
Jane, you ignorant slut. I love that line. Thank you very much, Adonet. Alright, let's take some red with no yellow in there. And we're just gonna put a little smidge. Okay. Let's mix these two whites up with their corresponding with the red. Okay. Alright, so well, the color shift makes that look very... Hold on. God damn it. That looks insane. Why can't cameras show colors correctly? Eureka. No, that's still too much. Sorry, I'm dealing with camera issues, guys. Just go back to default for a second. Light bump to... Alright, fine. Alright, so this is titanium white and pyrrole red, okay? Now let's mix the lead white. Let's mix the lead white with, we'll try and get the approximately same value. Very similar value. Camera's not showing it well. So let's do over here, maybe. This is the lead white. That's the titanium white. Do you notice a difference in the colors? You notice a difference? The lead white one retains. Yep, Mr. Pigments, that's exactly it. This is part of the reason why I use lead white. You can get different results, and expands the range of colors you can hit. Okay? So let's do the next demonstration. Because they are literally a different color. White in pigment form is a color that has variations. Okay? Like, you have to think of it like that. Same with blacks. Okay? So now let's say, all right, well, what's the difference between phthalo blue and ultramarine blue? Here, hold on. We'll do the demonstration. Okay? Why would I use both these blues? But why aren't you using phthalo blue here? All right? So let's take some ultramarine blue. Okay, that's ultramarine blue. Phthalo blue. Do you see a difference between those two? TDS Harper, do you see a difference? Or Schmuckleberry, do you see a difference between those two colors? I know you do, Mr. Pigments. I'm asking them. I ask that you answer in good faith. Okay. So what might be a good way, what color might be a good color to mix with blue to see if it leans towards red, if it leans towards yellow? What might be a good test? I could be brown. Yellow, yep, yellow. So let's see how they mix with yellow, okay? So let's mix the ultramarine blue first with some yellow. Okay. Let's see what green we get. I need a little bit more yellow than that. You can see we get a decent yellow, fine yellow. Right? Very, I'll say, salt of the earth yellow. But let's mix the phthalo blue with yellow. Are we seeing a difference? Are we seeing a difference? Same yellow. I don't know, these look pretty different to me. So what would this tell us about these two colors? What does it tell us about these two colors?
Help! Help! I'm being repressed!
Phthalo equals devil? They look identical. What might tell that? What might tell? What would this tell us about these colors? Like, explain it. Like, if you can explain it, like, what does it actually mean about the colors? Phthalo? No, not Phthalos are the devil. Phthalos are beautiful. Thank you, Willow. That means that Phthalo is more than likely at best neutral blue, but most likely has some yellow in it. So it's a colder blue, where ultramarine blue has some red in it because the greens get super desaturated. And it kills the green. Right? And a follow-up, we could also show this with white. Yep. Well, no, the other has more red. EDS. Ultramarine blue is a warm blue. It has some red in it. But this is a way that we can test our colors, right? To see their composition. So let's mix some white in there. See, now that difference is very, very apparent. Is even more apparent. I mean, well, not. I wouldn't say more apparent, but it's just a different perspective. Blurple. You mix them with the same color, wink, and you look at the difference that you get from them. Okay. So, cold, warm. And then once you start thinking about it in terms like this, you can start seeing it in practical, practical applications. So let's just make sense. Okay. Let's take a second for questions. Interesting. I didn't know that, Mr. Pigments. What other questions do we have? The trick? Well, we could talk about complementaries. What actually happens when you mix complementaries together? Actually, let's do that. TDS, you touched on this, where you said that blue and brown make, or blue and orange can make brown. So we're gonna pull out a couple different colors here. We're gonna pull out Pyrrole Scarlet. We're gonna pull out. What is my favorite color? I like purples a lot. We're gonna pull out Chromium Green Oxide. Get it out of this fucking tube. In general language, Mr. Pigments, because you're going to see the demonstration. We're going to pull out some Viridian. Remember, this is a demonstration, not necessarily a... and we need some quinacridone. It's the tism. True. Well, you know, you gotta realize, like, the audience, Mr. Pigments. The audience, we just need to... I want to break it down into simpler forms, right? How do we explain these aspects, okay? Well, that's mandatory. You all are gonna listen to the timeshare demo. All are. Okay. So... TDS Harper, or anybody. Here, anybody. Schmuckleberry. Except for you, Mr. Pigments. Alright. So when I mix classical complementaries, right? What are those? Blue and orange, red and green, purple and yellow. Okay. In pigments, when we mix those complementary colors together, what theoretically happens? What theoretically happens when you mix perfect complementaries together? Right, it desaturates it. It goes to gray. And it will lower the value. It'll make it darker. It will make it darker as well when they're classic complementary. So, remember I said orange and blue are complementary, right? So, what color is burnt umber? What color is burnt umber of the six? It's orange, right? There's red and there's yellow in this. They are just darker reds and darker yellows inside of this, okay? Ultramarine blue, right, is a blue with some purple, okay? Is a blue with some purple. What will happen when we mix these two together? What will happen? Mud poop? Spell it out in colors for me, Schmuckleberry. Jan. Jan says black. Now, why is that? Because they are complementary. They'll neutralize the colors of each other. And if we and ultramarine blue and burnt umber are pretty close complementary, or like they're fairly close. I'm not going to say they're perfect, but they're decent complementary. So they'll darken them and it will kill the color. So if we mix these, and you know, I'm brown dominant right now. I didn't put enough blue out there, so let's get some more ultramarine blue in this. But we get a... Now I might be slightly blue dominant. It goes to black. Okay. So does this work with other colors? Well, you might say to yourself, well, those are two dark colors. Here, let me put it in a place you might see it better. Okay. Seems black to me. Fairly close to black, okay? Well, we say to ourselves, all right, well, there's other complementaries, right? We have, let's get rid of these. Yellow and purple, right? Yellow and purple. Well, what's the best purple we can make? Well, the best purple I can make is quinacridone magenta and ultramarine blue. A warm blue and a cold red. This makes a very good purple. Okay. A very saturated purple. Okay. Also quite dark. And demonstrate. Might add a little bit. To demonstrate, just add a little bit of white. This is the purple. The white doesn't desaturate it too badly because titanium white mixes like a bluish purple. We might still be too red actually now again. Add a little bit more blue. Okay, so now if I want to change this, how do I make purple less saturated? How do I make purple less saturated? Violet sky. Yellow. Yellow is correct. So let's add some yellow. Add some yellow, everybody. That was a lot of yellow I added to this. I also think I was too red. So now, because of the nature of pigments, right? We're still pretty purple here. So let's add some more of this yellow to neutralize. But you notice how the value, it's brightening, but not by a lot. But what we're doing is we're creating chromatic blacks is what is the terminology. So this is where you make black colors, or black, essentially black, from a mixture of colors versus a pigment that is, you know, we're gonna balance this out because now it seems too yellow. But what are we left with? We're going to be left with a neutral by going back and forth. So if we were to mix some of this with white, I didn't do a great job, but we get something a little bit more desaturated. Than the purple we saw, or more desaturated than the purple we saw. Now, because that yellow is so bright, that pile is you. It can. It can. But as we balance this out, because now we're too, like, I'd say slightly too red. Right? We start going more and more to gray as we balance these out. Right? But we can think about what are good, like, good complementaries within the colors we choose. Okay? So, for example, green and red. Okay? This is red, but it's a warm red. That means it's a red that has yellow in it. Okay? Okay, so this is pyrrole scarlet. Okay? It's a warm red. Okay? Beautiful color. Exactly. Why Viridian? Why would Viridian be the complementary to this, Shasta? Versus... So let's bring out 2 greens that we brought out, okay? So let's bring out some chromium. Let's bring out Viridian. Why do you say Viridian is a better complementary? There's plenty of butts on this channel, Aaron. Because blue, right? So this is like a red mixed with orange. Or a reddish orange. Or an orange mixed with red. Right? Viridian is like a blue mixed with green. Or a green mixed with blue. It's a green mixed with blue. Is a good way to think about this. Right? Chromium, right, is more neutral. It doesn't... You could make an argument and lean slightly red, but it looks very cold. I mean, warm relative to Viridian, which is very cool. Thank you, Aaron. No worries, TDS. So, what might happen when we mix this Pyrrole Scarlet, which looks very orange, with Viridian Chromium? Practical application here. No, this is true Viridian, Mr. Pigments. This is true Viridian. It's not Phalo. It's the super expensive Viridian. Yeah, no worries. So what do you think what will be the difference between mixing these two? With this color. They're both green, but you can see how much different greens are. That's what I expect to happen. But there's also an interesting thing here. Remember how I said that truer complementaries get darker. Right? We get a very dark, desaturated mix here. You see how this got? That's just Viridian and this. Look, it's darker than both of them. And Viridian, pretty clear. Hi, Mud. It's darker than both of them. That's the black we mixed with ultramarine blue and burnt umber. Hi, Mud. I hope you're well. All right. Now let's see what this happens when we mix the chromium green. Well, they're not complementaries, so the ratio of how they interact, like color-wise, changes a lot, doesn't it? There's a lot less blue in this chromium green. You see the difference? How much those tonal shifts or color shifts, right, affected. They are. You like this one, Aaron Bun, huh? But they're not complementary, so they're not necessarily darkening down each other. There's desaturation, but it obviously favors. It's very cold by here too, Mud, right? but a huge difference. Now, these greens are obviously very different, right? But look at how big of a difference that makes when the complementaries line up. Okay? Is that gorgeous? I don't know. I think it looks like shit. All right. Should we mix another color? Aaron, give me a number 1 through 7. Six. A lot of sixes. That was our third. All three were 6. I think. Or was there a 7? Mix that color, wipe that D. Oh yeah, I should show that, shouldn't I? Here. I know what you want to show. All right, so we'll do one more demonstration before we do the color mixing. Another color mix. This is quinacridone magenta. Aaron, how would you describe this magenta? 1 was 7, okay. Aaron, how would you describe this magenta? What colors would you what of the 6 colors would you describe this as being? Oh, yep, the 6 colors. A cool tone red. A cool red. So what does a cold red mean though? What does it mean to be a cold red? What is different about the color that tells us it's cold? Blues, thank you. That's what I was looking for. A blue red. Thank you. Thank you. That means it's a red with blue in it. That's all it means. When you're a cold red, it's a red with blue in it. Just like a ultramarine blue is a warm blue because there's red in it. Okay? All right. So now let's do this red with some Viridian. And with some chromium green oxide. So now, think about what these greens look like to you. Okay? What do these greens look like to you? Think about them in terms of the colors. All right? What colors are in these? Or how would you describe these? I describe Viridian as a green mixed with blue. Okay? So now, how can we think about yellow-green? I would say that a yellow-green may be more neutral, a neutral green, but definitely more on the yellow side, especially relative to this, right? So now, think about now the colors that we have that we explained in here, right? So maybe a green with yellow, a green with a small amount of yellow, and this is a green mixed with blue, right? And this is a red mixed with blue, right? Or a red mixed with purple even. You could even say it's more like that, right? So now when we mix these together, think about how those colors that we identified in there come together. So we say a green with blue, a red with blue, or a red with purple, right? So we know that there's going to be some desaturation here, but what's very dominant is we have some green and a lot of blue. We have some blue and a good amount of red, right? But there's going to be canceling of colors from the complementary desaturation, but we're left over with some, right? So what we might get when we mix Viridian and quinacridone magenta, because of that balance being distinctly in a direction, we get a bluish purple. And that's mainly because Viridian is so blue. We got ads. We got ads, everybody. We'll wait for ads. Isn't that just amazing? How does a green and a red make purple? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. But it does. It does. Poipo. We're going to wait for these ads. For all of you watching ads right now, if you just subscribe, you don't have to watch ads. For all of you watching ads right now, you could just sub and not have those ads.
Wow, wow, wow.
Oh, thank you, Aaron. Thank you. For the rest of you watching ads right now, you're watching ads right now. If you sub, you don't have to see them. So this is what the Kubelka curve is referencing. You have but so you see, because Viridian has so much blue. But Aaron, think about it, right? Viridian has a ton of blue. I'll have to look at Mr. Pigments. Do you have a reference on like an article talking about it? Because I'm curious. I've never heard of the Kubelka curve before you. So. Yep, it does. This is how a good way to think about colors when you're mixing. Right? So now, what might we expect here, though? Thank you, Mr. Pigments. Well, what we might get is we might just get something messier. We got red and blue and green and yellow. So we have all three colors in here. Or three primaries. So we know the desaturation is going to be heavier. Right? Like there's way more yellow than in Viridian. Viridian has yellow in it. But this clearly has a lot more. Right? And a lot less blue. So ads are done in 30 seconds. We're gonna wait to mix this in 30. Think about it. Think about it in your head. Think about what's in here, in here, and picture what this might mix to. Think about it beforehand. Yeah, just think about it in your head. When you think about what's in here and what's in here, in the terms of the 6 colors, 6 main colors, okay, what could we expect knowing that we got a purple from Viridian in this? Right? Prediction. All right, let's mix. And let's take some of this. Now that that magenta was very strong. So back with it. And yeah, we're going to neutral. Predict this. This is actually a pretty decent neutral, everybody. Mix some white in there. Goes pretty neutral. That's not purple. Interesting, right? Versus this is just Viridian and quinacridone. A pretty vibrant purple. Right? Interesting. Interesting. All right, let's mix a color. Oh. Tradition. they really, from what I've heard, they do. I haven't taken an art class since middle school. So obviously I'm making all this up. You guys are listening to this? Why would you guys listen to me? I have no credentials. All right, let's go. Let's pick a color. So we got a number. We got a 6. Willow Moonfire called out a 6. Thank you, Mr. Pigments. All right, so we got number 6 again. Let's that. Another desaturate. We're in a lot of desaturates today. Pretty similar to what we've done before, so we're going to redo that one. 2 blue. Good. That one's good. Which one do we want? This one? Oh god. All right. TDS Harper. TDS Harper. What color is this? See, now I gotta adjust the filter again. Maybe I just need to adjust the dark. Hold on. Let me get a little bit more accurate. Gamma change. The wrong one. That's the wrong one.
5 nuclear weapons.
Jesus Christ! Padinky Dinky! Oh my god! Welcome in. Come learn how to mix color. Post your links or else.
Badly.
Kind of better. Yeah, it's closer. Good. Welcome in. Explain it in red, green, blue, yellow, orange, purple. Good, Mud. Good. Welcome back, Sashi. Well, Smiley Sloth, you could tell him that he's a son of a bitch. Orange? You think it's orange? Okay, we'll go with orange. Hi, Cream of Egbert. Paninky, give me those sweet, delicious subs. Aaron. I mean, not Aaron. Paninky, give me those sweet... Wait, did I say subs? Links. Give me those sweet, delicious links. Skin tone is not a color. Orange, good. Skin tone is not a color. Not. How dare you? Okay. So let's start off with orange, huh? Let's start off with orange. Pink. Don't use pink. Don't use pink. Just say orange. Orange. Alright, so we're going to take some yellow. Some of our red. Give me those links, Paninky. Alright, we got an orange. Okay. You did this. You did this. So I says to myself, good. Everybody go follow Paninky's Instagram now or else. So I says to myself, holy free holies, this is a lot more saturated and darker. Darker than that. It's hard to choose, like, say what the difference in color is. And I says, Well, I could make this brighter with white or yellow. So which one of these should I use to brighten this up with? White or yellow? Tit white? You think tit white? All right, we'll use tit white. Tit white, huh? You did this. You're doing this. Add more. And I say, beans. I added way too much white to this. This color's ruined, everybody. I added too much. I'm gonna have to restart. We're gonna have to are we gonna have to restart this? This is ruined. Why did you do this to me, Hanser? Why? Why, Hanser? We're just gonna have to throw this away, or maybe not, maybe we should try not doing that, huh? Maybe we should try not doing that. Should we just quit painting? Should we just quit? I think this is a situation where we just quit painting forever and disappear. Because I am ashamed. I am ashamed that I did that wrong. Alright? But we need to make it a little darker. We need to make this a little dark. I could. What should we add? Now, we don't need to make this a lot darker. But what should we add? I could add burnt umber or ultramarine blue to make this darker. Which one do you think we should add? I should quit painting. You know what, Maddie? I think I will. I think you were the final nail in that. You're the last hair on the camel's back. Well, I think we need to make it darker, Dusky. I think we need to make this slightly more darker. Or maybe we just make it more desaturated. Do we just want to desaturate it more? So if this is too red then... Alright, let's say this. This is too red. Seven, Mono. 7. Is this too red, maybe? If this is too red, what would we add to make this less red? Seven, Mono. Four. Green would make it less red. That is true. That is true. So maybe let's add a little bit of green. Maybe let's add a little bit of green. I already said 7, Hanser. Alright, let's add some green. So we're going to add some blue. Not a ton. And we're going to add some yellow. Because that's how we make green, everybody. Let's see what we end up with. Are we going to have to quit? Are we going to have to quit, everybody? Is this the time to quit? Maybe we didn't add enough? Let's reevaluate. Ooh, Willow Moonfire gets 5. Well, so should I quit, Mud? Is it just time for me to call it quits? Oh, thank you, Mono. Alright, so the colors seem pretty close to me. But we're too bright. We're too bright. Mud, what should we add to make this darker? Ultramarine blue or burnt umber? Or should I quit? Or is it quitting time? A pube? Okay, a pube's worth of burnt umber. Okay. All right, everybody, we need a pube's worth of burnt... I forgot about that. I used pubes the last time. All right, we're going to take a pube's worth of burnt umber. All right, that's about a pube's worth, right? Thank you, Mr. Pigments. So we added a pube's worth of burnt umber. Maybe needed a little bit more than a pube's worth. Let's do a second pube's worth. That might have been a bush of pubes. Now where are we at? Okay. Another 2 sea hairs? No, it looks a little too decent. No, I think we're not red enough, everybody. Doesn't it look more red? Maybe a pube's worth of red? Alright, let's add a pube's worth of red. Maybe a little bit more. Second pube's worth of red. Alright, where are we now? Wasn't to me, Harper. Maybe a smidge, maybe a pube's worth of yellow? Oh, yeah, I think I did overshot it by a pube. I'd say we're pretty close, right? Are we close enough? You see more green now? Oh, fuck you! Goddamn shadows. Why are there there's fucking shadows in here? A half a pube of white? Touch 2 red still. An eyelash 2 red. So then let's do a smidge of white then, and a quarter pube of each of burnt umber and titanium white. Ooh, hot damn dumb mud. Oh my god, salt. You're at 40. How are we now? You're not gonna see it well with that. Here, that's it on the fucking A. Done. Why is nothing easy? There is paint on that, everybody. Do you see the paint? I can only see it in specific light. It's miles off. I don't consider that miles. Hi, Fruity Moo. You could kind of see it, but there it is in like the different lighting, but in full lighting. I'm gonna say we got that one. I'm gonna say we got that one, everybody. And son of a bitch, Hanser. I'm gonna say this one's done been got. Okay. Shall we do another? I don't know, Jamboree. Right, no, TDS. Nothing is easy. Well, have you met me after a Mike's Hard Lemonade? Blasphemy! Let's do another one. Somebody give me a number 1 through 7. Somebody give me a number 1 through 7. Smiley, if you paint in correct light, that should not happen. And if you paint with the proper amount of medium, it should not happen either. First number I saw was 1. Was un. I said 1 through 7. An integer between 1 through 7. Wait, not between. 1 to 7. Alright. Let's find one. The 2s have it? Yeah, there's a bunch of 2s. Alright. 2. Integers, yes, whole numbers. Alright, that's a color. Let me adjust the filter again because you're seeing it way too bright and yellow. Fuck, guys, why do cameras suck? Why are cameras terrible, everybody? Fucking color. Sorry, hold on. That's closer to where it's at. Okay. This is the best way we can do it, everybody. Alright? Days of cannons, there used to be a metal device that held the cannon. Oh. Did not know that. Alright, everybody. Omizu. Omizu. What color is this? Which one of the 6 colors is this? What is it?
The space between the button balls.
I am not a taint. That is slander. That is slander. What did you, Shasta? Omizu, what color is this? One of the 6, Amizu. Yellow, orange, red, blue, green, or purple. Yellow? Okay. Start with yellow. All right. What are we saysing to ourselves? I'm doing well, John. How are you doing, bud? I'm saysing to myself, I says that this is too bright and probably a little bit too saturated, but let's worry about the brightness or the value, okay? Omizu. Because we fundamentally see them different, TDS Harper. When we see them in real life, we're seeing the light bounce off of them back to our eye. When we see them through a monitor, TDS, we're seeing the colors projected to our eyes. There is a fundamental difference in how our eyes receive the light. And it changes the saturations we can see, the brightnesses that we can see, the chroma that we can see, changes it all. One of the toughest parts, and this is why I say don't paint from photos, or painting from photos is inherently worse than painting something from life. Because the colors are fundamentally different than what you see naturally, aka light reflecting or bouncing off of something, instead of it being projected to. Alright, Amizu. Tiny bit of umber? Okay, let's add a tiny bit of umber. How many pubes worth of umber should we add? How many pubes worth? Give it to me in terms of pubes. Correct, TDS. That's why it's very hard for cameras to match up colors. How many pubes of burnt umber should we add? Waiting on Amizu. Cat of nine tails. 1 pube's worth, okay. 1 pube's worth of burnt umber for Omizu. Or would be a pube. That's a pube's worth. Okay. Alright. That was 1 pube's worth of burnt umber. Alright. Well, we needed to darken it first. So now you think we need to brighten it back up again? You're saying is we should add white now. Well, ours now seems darker than this, right? So maybe we should brighten it up with white first. So let's add a couple pubes worth of white. Let's see what we get. All right, that was a couple pubes worth of white. All right, now what should we do, Amizu? Use the knowledge. Use the force of the knowledge. We don't use alizarin crimson here. And neither should you. Alizarin crimson, bad pigment. Great color, but bad pigment. Mizu, what should we do? Maybe it seems a little bit too yellow. Maybe it seems a little bit too saturated in yellow. More umber. You think more umber? Yeah, I don't think that will help us here. Well, all right, so Omizu, does this look more yellow, red, orange, purple, blue, or green to you? What does this look more than this? No, let's do this the proper way. Let's think about this like how we should think about this, right? Does this seem What color does this seem more than this? Seems more yellow. How do we make it less yellow, Mizu? How do we make it less yellow? How does one redeem the ability to mix colors? By watching this stream in every second of every one of my streams, and you have to subscribe to my YouTube and watch all of my YouTube videos. So what should we add to make it less yellow? No. What do we add to make it less yellow? Let's first dig. Add violet, yes. Or add purple. So we're gonna add a smidge of blue, a smidge of blue, and a smidge of red. I need to remember that. Well, we'll see if we ruin this. Oh my god. Oh, should I quit? This looks terrible, everybody. Why'd you have me do this? I look like a fool. I look like a fool right now. What'd you... Should we just stop? And quit? Oh my god. Oh my god. This is terrible. Well, it seems too dark now.
Fool this man!
Oh my god. Aaron, should I quit painting forever? This is embarrassing. This is embarrassing. You think we should add titanium white? So we should make it brighter with titanium white? Okay, we could do that. Alright, let's try that. Wait, maybe we can salvage this, huh? Maybe it's not so... Maybe I'm dooming. Maybe I'm dooming too much, huh? Maybe I'm dooming. Yeah, Aaron, I think I'm gonna have to quit. It's fine, Fruity Moon. So now, does this seem more yellow, red, green, orange, purple, or blue? What does this seem more than this? Or what does this one seem more than this? You can think it on opposite ways. In terms of color, Schmuckleberry. Describe it in terms of color. Always think in colors. Don't give yourself subjective terms to confuse yourself with. Brown? What color is brown, Neek? What color is brown? Yellow, bluey? Do you think this is too blue? Okay. So, what should we add to make it less blue, Schmuckleberry? What do we add to make it less blue? Correct. We had to add orange. But wait a second. My only orange is burnt umber. But I could use my red. And I could use my yellow. Because that mixes into orange. That might be a little bit too much. So we'll put a little bit of this off to the side. Maybe a little bit too much still. Okay. All right, so now we seem a little bit too dark. You're seeing it too red, by the way. Hold on. We're adjusting color again because it's not showing. It's just really fucked with red. Let's try that. All right. So what should we do, Amizu? Amizu, we're too dark again. We're too dark again. It looks too yellow. This looks too yellow. This is pretty accurate. White. I'm trying to give you guys the most accurate view of this, but my cameras are not cooperating. They're changing essentially with the red. This red is a demon for cameras, apparently. Alright, so we should add white? Okay, let's add some white. No yellow? No yellow as well? The reference is too yellow for what you see, or at least through my monitor, but don't worry. We need to brighten this up first. We're going to add white. Do we want to add yellow as well? Or do we just want to add yellow? A little yellow? Alright. Mallory says a little yellow as well. Because we have to brighten this up. We can only use yellow or white to brighten this up. Maybe we'll add another pube's worth of white. I think we're still a little bit too dark. Amizu, what should we add here? We're still a little bit too dark. We need to brighten it up. We either use our yellow or white. What should we add now? We added a little bit of yellow and a little bit of white that last time. I could be brown, I could be blue, I could be violet sky, I could be purple, I could be hurtful, be anything you... Add white? Okay, we'll add a little, we'll add maybe a pube and a half worth of white. Seems pretty close. Maybe a smidge of yellow? Here, let's just... Yeah, when I hold them up close, it's a little bit too yellow. Maybe that little yellow I added was just wrong, but... Now this is going to darken it slightly. Or maybe what we'll do is we'll add a bit of that. I'm just finishing it up, essentially. Pretty darn close. Here, we'll put some on this so you can see. So, it's a little bit darker. Fucking, give me the light thing. You can see it, like, you know, it's more apparent, so maybe we needed to go a little bit brighter. Still. Maybe still a little bit too yellow. Yeah, that extra white did. Okay, so it's the one in the middle here. Give me the light. You see the one in the middle? Pretty close. Pretty close. Close enough for a painting, right? Close enough for a painting. Good job. Good job, everybody. All right, let's open up the floor to questions. Who has questions? Answer them now, or ask them now. Who has questions? Not feeling great, Smiley. Not feeling great. Like, fine, but not feeling great.
Wow, wow, wow.
Oh, thank you, Shasta. Why so gloomy? Sleeping issues. The headache's coming on. Why so glum? It's generally my vanity. My vanity is getting to me. You're so vain. Any other questions? Maybe these lights are fucking with me. You probably think this song is about you. Thank you, Omizu. Omizu, have we heard your fucker yet in the Redeems? You know, that hasn't occurred to me, Smiley. I can mix Violet Skies fairly easily. I don't think it was that. It was a solid, like, 5 hours before I wanted to go to sleep, or 6 hours. Whose fucker was that?
Fucker. Fucker. Fucker.
Fucker.
There it is. That's Omizu, everybody. That
Fucker.
That's Jan. For anybody who wants to be a part of this, just send me a recording of you saying fucker. Just send me a recording of you saying fucker, and you could be a part of this. Go hydrate. I have a water. I should take a...
Fucker.
Fucker! Oh, God. Alright. Did you? I think you picked a good one. It was unique. Alright, do we want to do any more? Did people want to learn anything else? Tee-hee! Does anybody want to ask? Literally all questions are on the floor. We went over how to evaluate your colors, how to mix colors, what complementaries do when you mix them together. Blue 2. God, I need better cameras, though. I need better cameras. Anybody. Floor is open. I'll answer anything.
Camera fund.
I'm just gonna wait till I sell my place, Maddie. It's an unreasonable amount for me to expect you guys to help with. The fuck's Pantone colors? Mixing for water. The mixing of these color principles are the same in watercolors as they are for oil paints. They're gonna find out, Omizu. Do you warm your D-wipes in the winter? Of course. Of course I do, Shasta. There's nothing worse than a cold D-wipe. I thought you were saying create a contribution. Okay. Well, Manny, that 1 cent is going to go to taxes. Good boy. Literally, the floor is yours. You guys can ask me anything. What do you mean a list of colors to choose from? I've done a stream where I talked about palette choices, Smiley. But my full palette I use, well, I retyped it. My normal palette is lead white, titanium white, bismuth vanadate yellow medium, pyrrole scarlet, ultramarine blue, bismuth vanadate yellow lemon, quinacridone magenta, phthalo blue, and burnt umber. Oh, you can't mix any. So one thing is the colors I choose to use is because you can't mix them. There is no point to using a color, a paint pigment that you can mix from other ones. There is no reason to use a. There is not a sufficient reason, as far as making things easier, or expanding your range, to use a color that you can mix from others. I mean, there's a lot of watercolor people here. Some oil painters. Some acrylics. Some Pascas. One more chip for Sloth. You want me to mix a cool color, Shasta? Alright, that's actually not a bad. We can mix a cool one. The only time you can save it, you can't save it, Smiley, is unless you're going for, like, I'm going to use a straight white, or I'm going to use a straight yellow, or I'm going to use... If you're using one of these exactly as they are, then that's the only time you can't save it. Fuck cubism. You're so vain. You probably thought the song was about you. You're so vain. Oil. True. You paint with oil, Neek? Well, I intentionally went muted for all of them, Shasta. It has the most demonstration of the principles here. So we're going to do this or this. Shasta, which one? Left or right? Left, right. Right? All right. Excuse me. All right. We could also do a few magic tricks. We could try some magic tricks. I wasn't able to set up my look at we'll do that in the next one, but I have another thing that we can do in the I mix this color all the time. All right. Let's go with Smiley Sloth. Smiley Sloth. What color is this? What color is this, Smiley? Never, Amizu. Pick one. Is it blue or is it green? You're so vain. Blue? Okay. We'll start off with blue. Alright, that's blue. Uh-oh. It seems a little bit dark. We can only brighten things up adding white or yellow. Which one should we add? Or should we add both? Perfect match? I don't think so. Smiley, should we add white for now? We could just add white. Let's do that. All right. All right, there we go. All right, the values are not that far off, but one seems a lot more blue. No worries, Mr. Pigments. What should we add to make this less blue? Smiley Sloth. Well, we need to make this we need to make this less blue. How do we make something less blue? Orange? Yeah, because what is the complementary of blue? It's orange, right? So maybe we should add some orange to make this less blue. Right? Watch out for those perverts. True, Mr. Pigments. So we're gonna add some orange. Am I ruining it right now? Well, we're not darkening, that's why I'm easy. Am I ruining this, everybody? Are we ruining it right now? Do I need to get my go bag ready? Am I gonna have to disappear out of embarrassment? Is this gonna be ruined? Oh my, I'm so nervous. I'm so nervous. This is terrifying. Oh my god, we have surprisingly close. Oh my god. Wow, that got way better. But it still seems a little bit more blue. Can I control Z? You cannot, Smiley Soft. So, does this seem... What do you think we should add now to get this closer? Oh, they're pretty close to me, Omizu. Touch more orange? Okay, we'll do more orange. But I swear, if I embarrass myself because of this Smiley Sloth, I'm gonna be livid. I'm gonna be livid if I embarrass myself in front of all the millions of you. Uh-oh. Oh no. Oh no, it's happening. It's happening, everybody. Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh no. This is terrible. Oh God, what have I done? Oh, this is the worst thing that's ever happened. Oh no. Oh, Jesus Christ. What happened? Halo stat. Hi, Laura. Well, now does this look more red, orange, yellow, blue, green, purple? I can't tell. I'm just a fool. Smiling Sloth, what does this look more like to you? I can't tell. I'm colorblind. Totally matches. I don't think it does. Even my colorblindness. It's too red. Okay, so what should we add if it's too red? What should we add if it's too red? True, TDS. We're super fucked. Super fucked. Super fucked. What should we add if it's too red? I don't know what to do. Tell me. Yellow or green? Which one, Smiley? If it's too red, which one should I add? I'm confused. You're saying yellow and green? How could I add both at the same time? Green? Okay, glad green. That makes sense. Oh, geez. I don't think we have it again, everybody. Hi, Kay. To that abomination of a mix. Smiley Sloth, is this... What is this too much of now? I can't tell. Please, speak to me like I don't know anything and I'm in first grade. Thank you for the follow, Blue Lobster. Speak to me like I know nothing. Because I don't. Thank you for the follow, Blue Lobster. Too much pea soup? So what should I add to this? Too green? Maybe. That is true, TB. More blue, Mallory? So you think this is too orange? You think this is too orange? The mix is too orange? Mallory, I'll trust you. If you think we need to add more blue, I could add more blue. IK. More blue. So you think this is too orange. Okay. All right, we'll add more blue because you think this is too orange. A dandruff? A pube? I think we need a little bit more than a pube. Okay. Now. Uh-oh, I think we got too dark, everybody. I think we got too dark. What should we add? What should we add to... It's too dark, though. We need to brighten this up a smidge. So, should we use white or yellow to make it brighter? White? Okay, let's add a little bit of white. Oh, wait a second. Oh, wait, I'm not embarrassed. I did it, everybody. That was all me. We're really close. Still a little off. Maybe a smidge more blue and white. Now blue, okay. Well, just by adding more of that color. Okay, we added more blue. And it's more blue. Weird how that works out. Let me get it close. Well, it looks like we're still a little bit too dark. I put a little bit of it on there, right? We're still a little bit too dark. So let's add a little bit more white. I'll finish this up. We're going to add a little bit more white, and we're going to add a little bit more blue. Oh, that was too much. Give me the knife, I'll fix it. I'm actually gonna add a smidge of a Mizu's favorite. There we go. I'd say that's pretty close, right? I think it's enough to stop on it. We could probably add... if we wanted to...
Nice.
Be just a smidge more white. Now we're definitely too bright. God damn it. It's a very touchy push-pull here. Whatever. We're close enough. Close enough. Fuck it. Done. Any other questions? Any other questions? Stop shoving already. I won't. You're so vain. You're welcome, Shasta. You probably thought this song was about you. Black spot time. I don't really have anything prepared for a black spot. I could grab some, but I don't have it set up. I know, Seven. Don't worry, I'm disappearing after this, alright? No one's ever gonna see me again. I do have a lot of paint left over, though. This is a bit of a waste of paint. Put too much out there. But I did mix in a lot of impasto in a few of these. Not as bad as... But, floor is open. If you guys want to ask questions, ask me the questions. Before I disappear forever, I got a vamp for time here. I need watch hours. Come on. Oh, God, shoulder. Anybody? Nothing? Come on! Super happy fun times? Color mixing? Alright, what's your cooking question, Paniki? Cooking is another hobby of mine. I'm not joking. Probably, Shasta. It's very popular in winter. Will you ever leave oil? What do you mean by that? How much more or less difficult is it to mix paint for a larger painting? It's the same exact thing, Smiley. You're now... Well, tell that to the IRSK and the CIA. When do I use limes? I don't know how to balance sour with heat. Limes are kind of a regional thing. Limes line up more with like Southeast Asian cooking, right? Or there are cultures that use a lot of citrus, and then you would, depending on what you're cooking, so like where the Mediterranean uses more lemons, Southeast Asia uses more limes. But they also have different things. I think they're called citrons, which are like kind of a combination of the two. But it's basically based on the like culture of food that you're cooking. How about something dark of a particular hue? What do you mean by that, Omizu? Oil point. Yeah, but I don't know. What do you mean, will you ever leave oil? Like, what do you mean? Like, I need you to expand on that, 713. How do you know when to use lead white? Well, first off, I use lead white, and anytime if I ever use titanium white, I always add some lead white to it, because lead white is very archival. But if I needed to make a bright orange or a bright red that's warmer, that's when you know to use them. You could also use lead white to slightly desaturate blues more than titanium white does. There's also a balance of the opacity or questions like that. So it's basically the warmth and how red or yellow or orange the color you want to maintain while making it brighter. Do I ever use black? All the time, but I mix my blacks like these two mixed to a black. That's my black. Ultramarine blue and burnt umber. Soft or rough toilet paper? Soft, obviously. What stuffs do I like to cook? I cook a lot of like Southeast Asian stuff. I go through periods of... So I like Szechuan Chinese food a lot. And then like some Vietnamese or Thai stuff. Probably my most common. A lot of Korean. Like I made kimchi the other day. For other media, Shasta, what do you mean by for other media? Will you ever choose another medium over oil at some point? I'm wondering because of the chemicals involved. There are no more dangerous chemicals in oil paints than acrylics or watercolors. Oil paints are arguably the safest. I also don't use solvents, 713. So the most dangerous thing people usually expose themselves to are solvents. Now I do use lead white. But lead white can be used in other mediums as well. Oil painting is not inherently more dangerous than the others. That will involve Jamboree. That will desaturate it a lot more. So usually when you use orange, it's about saturating it. Burnt umber is not saturated enough on its own. But it's for when you're darkening and you need to keep it warm is when you use burnt umber. And you mix a color close, but not that close, Smiley Slug. You can use raw umber and some red or in some orange, and you can get something that's kind of close, but it's going to be off. When's the cooking stream? No clue. I need to worry about the painting setup first. Oil is king. Oil is the most advantageous if you're trying to mix exact colors, because the pigment load of the binder is the highest. Acrylic medium requires the mixing of water into it as a medium, and it cannot hold as much physical pigment as oil paints. So you can get more saturated, more vibrant colors through oils with less additives. And it allows you essentially a stronger mix. Any other questions? These are easy. These are easy ones. Nothing? Nothing at all. Do you seal oil paintings? I varnish every one of my paintings, but that's, if we're talking semantically, sealing is a lot different, and sealing would not be recommended for any oil painting. Varnishing, yes. You should varnish all of your oil painting. Every single one of them. Are you supposed to use water with acrylics? I didn't know. You should not use water with acrylics. You can use it to clean your brushes, but you should not mix water into acrylics when you're painting with them. Just like if you have water-soluble oils, you should not mix water into those. They should only be used for cleaning. It will lower the strength of the binding medium by adding water into them, which will increase your risk of delamination and having a less archival painting. What varnish do I use? If I'm going cheap, I'm using Gamvar, and a general retouch varnish for the first layer. Second layer is Gamvar gloss. If I'm doing something very important or expensive, I use the polyvinyl. That's not PVA. It's a fancier one that is I can get the names, but I have a fancier one that is more technical in terms of the surface film. Yes, use acrylic mediums if you're painting with acrylics. Do not use one. How did they varnish in the old days? With varnish. They just used tree resins, TDS. Vast majority of varnishes are resin-based, which come from trees and plants. And they would use those. Can you mix Packers colors from memory? I can get pretty close. Like Packers would be... probably somewhere around there for the gold. Mine looks a little bit more red than yours does, but maybe we'll bump it down even a little bit more. And then the green, not that. Important, we're mixing Packers colors. That's probably too bright as a whole. Need to dirty it up slightly. Something like that. Something like that, Jamboree. Do you mix the amount of paint you think you're going to need all at once or little bits at a time? Smiley, I try and... it depends. If I know I'm going to need a lot, I'll mix a bunch. If I don't, I'll mix some and I'll just keep on remixing it. How about underpaintings? Is it okay to use acrylic instead of oil? We don't have a ton of long-term information on the effects of using acrylic as an undercoat. However, we know that the varnishes hold up pretty well, the acrylic varnishes. However, they are. I'm almost positive that there is definitive data that a oil ground is more effective as like a underneath primer. But point being is, I think it's pretty definitive that it's not as good as oil, but how much does it affect it? And I don't know that information offhand, so I don't want to give you a definitive answer. What kind of oil is used in the creation of oils? It's mainly linseed oil. But some companies use safflower, sunflower, walnut, clove sometimes, poppy sometimes. I only use linseed-based oils because they are the strongest. I have a question. How is it that mixing blue and yellow make violet? They don't. They don't, Ches. And what is used to keep the oils from getting rancid? Refinement. Like, you know, you keep them in airtight containers, and rancid to taste is different for them not being able to form go through polymerization. So, for example, TDS, stand oil is oil that the polymerization process has already started and they stopped it. So I think the concept of rancid is more in the terms of eating versus it being acceptable for oil painting. Would you ever paint with acrylics? Yes, but I'm not going to spend all the money I need for like good acrylics. And then I'd want the acrylics to act like they would be in oil, and then it'd be kind of a pointless endeavor. But I would if I had the materials, somebody like wanted me to. Chaz, oil does not soak into the canvas. It can soak into the porosity of like fibers that are coated, but acrylics, you know, I don't know the type of chemical bond that happens with acrylics. Okay, but ideally oils don't soak in, and they sit on top as well and bind to the primer. Chaz, Mr. Pigments does know what he's talking about, and we both hate that YouTuber. Do oils made with clove have that unique smell? I'm not sure, but a clove oil has an extremely long drying time, and so some people use them for keeping their brushes wetted. I haven't heard of companies or people using them to bind with paints because that long drying time can be prohibitive in that. You need to clean off the previous varnish, Neek. You would need to clean off the previous varnish with a solvent that would not affect the paint layer. I hate that YouTube. I hate them. You know which one we're talking about, Maddie. No, that person is just spouting off horse shit. Constantly. You're welcome, Smiley Sloth. Any other questions? And I mean any. A deep red can't be made from blue and yellow. Chaz, can you send me the video? Chaz, would you mind sending me the video? I'll watch it. Oh yeah, that was the one you were talking about yesterday. Yeah. I need to watch that one still. I really dislike that YouTuber, and nobody should take her at her word because she's extremely bankrupt and dishonest. And doesn't do their research. And I hope they're watching me right now. I hope they're watching me right now. They're fucking terrible. Just awful. And really, people do not trust your average YouTuber with art knowledge. I have found maybe 3 or 4 channels of people who know what they're talking about. Very few of them do. Especially with art, though, Ches. I know, I could have, but we're talking in the context of art, because there are plenty of channels that make do stuff in good faith, right? The question is, are they honestly doing it in good faith? Like, because there are people who will make... All right, so here's the thing, right? I've seen YouTube videos of people who are like, what are the best oil paints? And they're speaking to their knowledge. They should have done more. they're not necessarily giving you misinformation, but they're giving you their opinion on something that's not fact-based. In my opinion, that is technically good faith. But when they start presenting technical information that is incorrect and that is not a matter of opinion, then it is in bad faith and it's horseshit. Yes, if you can Goodwill Hunting any of those people, please do. I'll give you a free painting.
This paint might look purple, but it's actually red. But before you report me and get my art degree taken away,
God.
just let me explain.
Oh my God. I just shit my pants. Oh Jesus. This is awful. Oh my God. Oh my God, I just shit my pants. Clean up an aisle badly. No, I'm gonna smolder in this one. Oh my God. I know, Kay. I know. Hey, do you know that this green is actually blue? Oh my God. Oh my God. Can you believe it? Everybody, isn't that crazy? Don't I look really smart? And you guys should give me money for saying that. You know? Cuz that, like, you guys didn't even realize that. What oil paints do you prefer? Neek, I make my own. All these I made myself. Outside of this one. That's because I'm using up a tube. If you were buying from a company, I would suggest, now there's obviously cost constraints. Rublev and Maimiri Puro and Williamsburg are probably my top 3 favorite companies. Rublev being first, Williamsburg being second, and then Maimiri Puro. I am very anti Winsor & Newton. Gamblin, I don't really have problems with as much as I do with the others. Pretty much TDS. You thought it was pink? No, that was green. And this is not a matter about questioning everything, but it's just like, please just operate in good faith. People look for authoritative language. It's Are there any modern colors that discolor with lead white? Not that I'm aware of, Malari. I obviously that was a problem in the past, I think, with a lot of the sulfur-based pigments, right? No, it didn't have a problem with vermilion. Glare is in Spanish. Not that I'm aware of, Mallory. It's not as good for archival reasons, Maddie. Walnut oil is probably the most common, but I have found personally that a lot of people don't understand the differences between walnut and linseed oil. As in, chemically they are different. There is a higher amount, I believe it's linoleic acid or lineolinic acid in linseed oil, which is what dictates chemically how strong of a a chemical bond and durability it has once it goes through the polymerization. Linseed oil is the strongest. Some people say that it yellows more than others. I have not seen good data regarding that subject. I'm not saying it doesn't exist. I personally have not seen information on yellowing. Walnut oil has a distinctly longer drying time than linseed oil. I personally have no reason to use it. A lot of people do use it because I do think, I think there is somewhat of a stigma that people think that linseed oil is less natural than like walnut oil. Do you then mix using pigment powders, and where do you get them? I buy them from the main sites. I've gotten some from eBay, and I've gotten some from Kramer Pigments, and I've gotten some from Natural Pigments, which is the company that owns Rublev. So, for example, this is a bucket of pigment of lead white that I got from Kramer Pigments. This is 1 kilogram of lead white. I have streams, TDS, if you look at my past streams, I have several where I make paint on stream. I did one a few weeks ago. I'm going to be doing one another time soon because I need to make titanium white. So this is pigment. This is lead white pigment that I will mix with oil, and then I'll use a molar and make it. I'm going to also be selling the oil paints I make once some things happen and I get a machine. Do the other colors require different ratios of oil to pigment? Absolutely. Every pigment differs with the amount of oil it absorbs and requires. Yeah. Like, that's a perfectly fine reason. But if you are painting for canvases or, like, wood panels, if you're doing paintings, you ought to be using linseed oil if like, your drying time is not important. The like singular factors that walnut oil we know are different than linseed oil. It's not drugs, it's pigment. You're welcome, TBK. Making your own paint saves you a lot of money. It does require a lot of extra effort. Once I get the machine, that effort will be probably go down by about 80%. Don't do it, Ches. Don't do it. So yeah. Any other questions? Do we? No. 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 I think peels the paint off the walls. We're just vamping for time. I need those YouTube watch hours. If everybody here just watches every second of my YouTube videos, then I'll be set. I also need subscribers. Please, if you're not subscribed to my YouTube, please. I'm trying to get monetized here, everybody, so I can call out that horseshit video. God, I hated that. Okay, should we clean up then? Good, thank you, Ches. You're fine, Ches. How about those solvent-free gels? Are those any good? They have a dryer in them, Willow, but there is no solvent. So if you need, like, I would probably recommend those if you needed paint to dry fast. But the number one thing that dictates how fast your paint dries, outside of those like dryers, are the pigments themselves. Lead white dries extremely fast. Umbers and ochres dry fast. Titanium white takes a long time. Carbon black and lamp black takes an incredibly long time to dry. Or I believe carbon black. I know for a fact lamp black does. In oil, mind you, in oil. Does anybody want me to do any mixing or have any paint-related questions before I clean this up? I would just, if you don't care about drying time, Willow, I would just recommend using oleo gel and just keep like using as little like additives as possible. Mix it all with my hand. Can you make a violet? Yeah. Quinacridone magenta and ultramarine blue make the best purple. Because you could push and pull in directions without sacrificing saturation. There you go. Those two specifically make the best purple. Like it's like, in my opinion, it's as close as you can get to the single pigment purples, like manganese violet light or like cobalt violet light. Very good purples. I'll make it your sky. If I were to make it my sky, I would probably do this. I'd probably add a touch more blue. There we go. Violet sky, everybody. The other day I was shown a short of a lady mixing to match a paint tip, and she went back and forth adding more yellow and more red. I do the one tries. We can do it. You guys want to see? Should I try a magic trick? Should I try the magic trick? You're welcome, Willow. I could try the magic trick. Badly in the sky with that. That is true, Jamboree. I didn't even think about the Vikings here. Jesus. Where am I? Scissors go. All right, we're gonna do a magic trick. Let's go with one that's not so difficult. We're gonna try this in one try, everybody. Okay. We're gonna try to do this in one try. Okay. Krusty the Clown Exile. Alright. You ready for this? Alright, let's see. So the magic trick is I'm not gonna go back and forth. We gotta hit this in one try. We gotta hit this in one try. It's tough. Can be tough. We'll see. Might be too much yellow. Smidge of red. That work? Ooh. Might be a little bit too. Maybe that. I'm worried about the amount of yellow. All right, we're going to try that. As too little yellow and white. Too little yellow and white. We failed, everybody. Son of a bitch. Now I look like an asshole. Some magic. I know, I look like an a-hole. Hi, Salt. Way too dark on it. Close enough. I know. I'm doing alright, Salt. Not feeling great. Hey, it happens. I'm out of practice. I'm out of practice. The other thing that's fucking me up is I added some impasto to the red and stuff, so the saturations are different. Oh god. A bit, Chez. I don't really feel pressure for. I can give two shits about you a-holes. Alright, should we clean up? We tried the magic trick. I failed. I looked like a fool. Well, I'm offended. I'm sorry, Mud. I wasn't talking about you. Only Denny, Zima, Honey, AutoZone, what's it? Flanagan's used toothbrushes, Circuit City, Preparation H matter. Let's clean up. Yeah, we gotta de-wipe it too. Let's clean up. Speak now or forever hold your peace on any colors. Speak now or forever hold your peace. Sears? Yeah, Sears, yep. I forgot about the Sears sponsorship. I'm in their new lingerie line. Alright, clean it up. Good, Willow. Good. Glad you learned. Lucy in the sky. Yep, I'm in the catalog. I don't like to use paint that's been exposed to like oxygen for that long, so I don't save my paint K. Especially because I have lead in there, it will dry very fast, and I don't want to be painting with like semi-dried paint. So I accept the fact that I'm gonna throw out a lot of paint. Definitely does, Jamboree. That's why I don't save my paint, personally. What will Willow do? I don't know if they'll ever forgive you, Willow. That was a huge mistake. What? We might have to go to tribunal for that one. We might have to go to the tribal council. Mods, do we need to do a tribal council over this? Are we gonna have to do a tribal council? I'm not gonna lick the plate. Thank you, Jamboree. Thankfully, I felt a headache coming on, but that seems to have subsided, which is good. All right, no tribal council, Willow. You escaped. And your bobs. Lucy. All right. That's true. Yeah, we don't want to get the whole council sick. You're fine, Willow. Yep, you did it. Just got to get something else stuck in there to get rid of that one. I like to live in America. Wonderful time in America. Go to West Side Story. I feel pretty, oh so pretty. I feel pretty and witty and feel pity for any girl that isn't me tonight. But do you feel? I do. Absolutely I do, Shasta. Alright. Now, for all the perverts out there, time to wipe the D. Time to wipe that D. For all you raggedy perverts. Wait, wipe. There we go. Sanitize it, baby. Oh my god. That cry wasn't enough.
Quit playing
This
with
is
your
awful.
dinghy.
Oh god. Why am I feeling so much shame right now? Oh. God. This is... I am just full of regret. Why would I do this online? Oh my god. Jesus. You all disgust me. You all disgust me right now. You're watching this.
Slower slut.
Oh my god, Salt. Oh god. What have I become? What have I become? Yes, the crying. Oh god. I can't talk to my family anymore. Alright, de-wiping is over. So demeaning. I know, that was disturbing, right, Dio? That was disturbing. Okay. That's what they all say, Salt. Alright, let's find somebody to raid. We know Amizu. You're welcome, Maddie. We're, on the next one we do, I'll have more, I have another activity we can do. But yeah, we gotta... You're welcome, Willow. I'm happy to answer questions like that anytime during stream. And we'll do this type of stream again. So, you know, but feel free to ask questions whenever they come up. I'm fine with it. Oh, cool. Oh, that was awful. That's even worse coming from you, Salt. Should we raid Poison Jackal? I think we can. Alright, we're gonna raid Poison Jackal. Alright? What did Willow do? Well, cause that dehydrate. It's a dehydrate reminder, Chaz. That's just all salt water. Oh, thank you, Chaz. I will. Everybody have a great day. Mr. Pigments, Willow, Chez, Mud, Salt, Dia, Shasta, Pickles, Sashi, Jan. If I miss anybody, I apologize, and I'm sorry for nothing. YouTube channel, Omizu, have a great one. Oh, Mike Rochburns. Love that name. If I ever have a child, that's going to be their name. Have a good night, Mud. Nini, everybody. Greenbag, I'll see you in hell, and thank you for joining me on my Taint Talk. Terrible thing. See you 7/13. Bye, Aaron. I guess. Jesus! EBS, have a good one, bud. Bye, everybody.